let's look ahead to the election. People often talk about politics in elections in terms of the Ming vase theory that one party's ahead and just they're in possession of the Ming vase, don't drop it. I kind of feel like Swinney's in that position just now, 20-point lead with this budget. Just don't drop the vase, and I don't think he did.
No, I think generally speaking, he got quite good headlines. Maybe too good, if I'm honest. I think now that day two's around, we're like, oh, hang on a minute, what about this and that?
Yeah.
Council tax. The Marv bar that you can gain. I think as the week goes on, maybe the budget won't unravel, but there'll start to be slightly more critical voices about it, I think. And but it's not. I don't think it's going to be a disastrous dropping of the Ming vase. I don't think it's even a dropping in the Marmite jar. It's just, I think
it was pretty uninspiring, really.
Someone described it as boring, but I think that's what he wanted. He didn't want a UK government style budget, and you also have to contrast the run up to the UK government budget with all the leaks, with the fact there was no leaks in the Scottish government budget. So again, they can kind of portray themselves as being competent and the grown-ups in the room. But let's face it, this election, it should be on the SNP's record over the last 5 years, not what happened in the last 24 hours.
Where they might have dropped the ball is on council tax.
Yeah, that's the one loose end, I think.
Councils are getting a poor settlement. They're in quite rebellious mood. Lots of them are Labour controlled. I think we could be in for some eye-watering council tax rises.
When will that be?
So they'll all be set in April, I think,
just before the election.
Yeah, so drip fed in March. I mean, I remember before Swinney took over as FM, he gave an interview down south, and he was talking about councils and how there was an issue of shared accountability for council decisions. So, for instance, with council tax, of course, it's local authorities that set them, but it's the national government that gets the blame for the rises.
Yeah, that's that.
And so, given that that's his view, I was a bit surprised that he didn't go for a cap. It is a hostage to fortune. Because I think the average rises were nearly 10% last year. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like councils are flush with cash.
No, but you've made that point before, Paul. The reason for all of this, the reason that council finances are in such dire straits is because of the council tax freeze.
Chickens coming home to roost.
Yeah, that hollowed out councils. Although what I would say is, if we are going to see massive council tax rises, let's make sure that councils don't be wasting money on idiotic flagship schemes like the Edinburgh tram extension, for example, which goes up my favourite local path in Roseburn in Edinburgh. Let's get that out the door.
Or big salary rises for their chief executives.
Well, exactly. I mean, the other thing that's going to happen in April, which again they could have moved on, is the rates revaluation. If your local pub or your favourite local shop closes because the rates have gone up 400% weeks before the election, then that could have been tricky. That could have been kicked down the road to next April. But, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem to have been a disaster, and it doesn't seem to have been a great success either. And I think John Swinney will be happy with that.
Yeah, I think they will think he's kind of, with one leap, he was free from his last budget before the election. He'll probably think there's elements of that he can successfully sell to the electorate in May.
I mean, one thing I would say is it's a budget that looks right for ripping up. I mean, if Labour get in, Anna Sauer's already said, we'll have an emergency budget. So we'll just, we won't vote against this one because our aim is to be the government and introduce our own budget and change a lot of this.
So, but Labour might go for that, raising the threshold to take that 100,000 out of that higher tax bracket.
It almost feels like the SNP might. I wonder if they get back in, he'll say, actually, that budget was set. Now we've got a firmer majority, or we've got new priorities. I just wonder whether this whole thing will end up in the bin.